Hi, Dina. Thank you for joining me today. I can't wait to hear your story. I'd love to know if you could talk about how you got into body work, how you got into healing massage, and please share with us everything you can about your journey.
Okay, I'd love to. Okay, I guess it started around 2003. I was laid off from the corporate world, which was a blessing to me because I could no longer handle working in the corporate world. And I felt like I needed to do something where I can help others. So I took advantage of that year being laid off from work and I went to school for massage therapy. And while I was going to school, we had three instructors, and one of them really impacted my life. She's the one who really did it for me. I remember going through class, and she would say to me, because she too had a gift, her name was Regina. Until this day, we're very good friends. She had a very, very beautiful gift, reading people and just knowing what's going on in your physical body. And she would come up to me and say, Dina, you have the gift. You just need to listen. At the time, I had no idea what she was talking about because I thought I was listening. I am listening and I'm learning. But as time went on and I would massage, I would intuitively pick up things or feel things, but I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. So at one day at one of our classes, she said, I want three students to stand around one student. One student lied on the table, and three of us had to go around them. And at the time, she called this polarity. She says, we're going to do some polarity. She says, so I want everybody to just kind of put their hands over, don't touch her, just kind of put your hands over her body, anywhere you want, and just see if you feel anything. I just want you to feel. So as I'm standing there, putting my hands over her abdomen, I closed my eyes and I honestly felt like I was massaging her intestines. I felt like I can feel myself massaging her intestines. And I thought, wow, is this in my mind or am I really doing this? So after about 10 minutes, maybe, we kind of broke out of it. And the girl lying on the table, she opens her eyes and she turns directly at me and said, I felt your hands inside of my stomach. I can feel you massaging the inside of my stomach. And I got chills because I thought, oh my gosh, she knows what I did. And I said, yes, that's what I was doing. So from that point on, Regina became very close friends with I, and she started to teach me more about. She would talk about, Dina, you have this gift, you have to pay attention. So, anyways, moving forward, I started doing massaging, and the more massage I would do, I would feel things, and I knew things, but I wouldn't talk about it because I didn't know how to explain exactly what I was doing. I was just doing it. So as time went on, I kept massaging and people would give me interesting feedback like, as soon as you touch me, make me feel like I want to cry. Or, my God, it's like you have magic hands. So I met someone, a psychic woman, and she introduced to me Reiki. She said, I think you should see somebody I know so you can do some Reiki. I really think you have the power to do that and you can move forward because you're a natural healer. I didn't know what Reiki was, but I thought, oh, let me just try this. So I thought, that's a great idea. What I'm going to do is become certified in Reiki so that when people ask me, what do I do? It's easier to say, oh, I do Reiki energy. When in fact, I have been doing this the whole time. And I do use the Reiki symbols sometimes, but most of the time, I just put my hands on people and I start to feel. And I get a sense of somebody going through something or having some trauma or having some emotional issues or something that manifested in their body. And it just started getting more and more, I guess, stronger. So I started working on clients, and then I was kind of working part-time, and then I started working for a chiropractor many years forward. And that's where I started to use more of my healing. I started advertising more of my healing when I was working for a chiropractor in Los Angeles. So she put that in the menu, and people started coming and getting healing work from me. Well, as I'm moving forward and doing this, I started to feel stuck in a way. And I felt overwhelmed. I felt like the energy around me is too chaotic. And I felt like I have to leave. I have to move out of here. And my husband and I had talked about wanting to move to Arizona. We would take trips every year, 2, sometimes 3 trips, different parts of Arizona to see where we wanted to go. And finally, in 2020, when there was no more work, that was also a blessing because I suddenly had lots of people finding me through social media and other people wanting my healing work because it was COVID season and people were begging me to please come to their house. They said they would wear masks and all. And so even though I was kind of nervous about doing that, I thought, okay, why not? People need my help. So I started going to people's homes, and I felt like I needed more than just where I was at. So we decided we have to move. I have to get out of Los Angeles. I can't be here anymore. So we started to plan to move somewhere in Arizona, but we didn't know where. And then I ran into a wonderful man named Aaron Fowler called the Psychic Shaman. And he gave me a reading. And he said, Dina, I see that you're moving. And I said, yeah, I want to move. He goes, oh, you're going to move by the end of the year. And I thought, that's only in about 4 months. What are you talking about? He says, I see you moving somewhere southeast Arizona. He says, and you're going to be near the Sonora Mountains. Oh, my goodness, girl, you need to go because you're going to find your magic just open up and just flourish. You are going to feel the magic from these mountains. And I thought, well, I hope so, because I don't know if I'm going to find a house in the next 4 months. And I tell you, things just happened like dominoes. Everything came forward. It was almost as if it was laid out for me. The way we found our home, the way we found, we live in Sierra Vista. Sierra Vista was found by accident. We went on a trip to Tucson to see another house, and we happened to drive by Sierra Vista. And I thought, what a beautiful city. What is this called? He says, my husband says it's called Sierra Vista. I said, we got to find a house here. So here we come. We find this beautiful house. I know I'm moving forward a little bit. I'm so happy to be here. And then I find out the Mexican mountains there are the Sonora Mountains. And when I had my first client here, my goodness, I came on this land thinking, I live here. I belong here. And I'm telling you, being here, it's like everything has amplified even greater to where I'm now just touching people, massaging people, but I feel like I can see inside their body sometimes. I feel like I can feel things coming out. It's been magical. It truly has been. And it's been so rewarding for me because I feel like every time I give a healing session to someone, I feel part of me healing as well. And I love doing what I do. I love the work that I do. I love the people that I work on, and I love how the people navigate to me and appreciate what I do for them. And I just feel like this has just been a blessing, this whole journey of mine. And I just look forward to continue doing more.
So do you feel like that even though you were trained in techniques, you developed a sensitivity that you didn't know you had that took you to this other realm of being able to touch people, extend energy to them, or be able to be sensitive to things that are in this unseen world. And you just kind of went in that direction. Because I know from
Yes.
the body work you did on me, um, you know, being kind of into body work, I'm paying attention to technique, and there was really that wasn't important. It was, I felt the sensitivity that you were looking at where in my body was a block or something, and you just targeted it. So do you have any insights from your own personal experience? How do you think that got developed? Do you think it was an attitude that changed you? Was it an insight? I mean, that's a really interesting piece.
I have to say it was more of an insight, because even though with all the techniques I was taught, I started to develop my own technique. I didn't follow through with everything they trained me. I followed through with my own intuition and what I felt needed to be done. And I've always had this inner, or this insight, or this intuition ever since I was a child. I could always hear things or see things that other people didn't. Everybody kind of looked at me a little bit weird or strange because of the things I would say when I was a child. I grew up always talking to someone whom I always thought was my mother. My mother passed away when I was 3.5 years old. So after that, I used to beg my mother to come forward and let me speak to her. And I grew up speaking to someone my whole life. So whether that was my mother or a guide or a spirit, what I call my spirit helpers, I feel like they've always been there with me, and they have also guided me to what I need to do for not only myself, but for others. And I think that was a little part of it. That I think it was always in me, but I didn't understand what was happening. I just knew things. I didn't share too much, and I just spoke all the time, sometimes out loud. And I was nervous sometimes because I thought people were going to think I was crazy. But I think that's part of it. I think I always had it in me, but when I started massaging, something else developed within me that just got stronger. And honestly, it's still sometimes hard for me to do. That's why I took these classes, just because when people would ask me, well, what do you mean by you do energy work or release? Sometimes it's very difficult to explain that. I don't know how to explain how I do it, how I feel it, how I see it. All I know is when a person is there and I get to it, it's almost as if I go into another deeper world of healing where I'm there for the person and I just hold space for that person during this time.
This is wonderful. And the reason I'm so interested in interviewing you about this is because after my wife died, I became more sensitive to the need in a lot of my friends and people I would meet to feel the presence of someone who has a nurturing spirit. And having never been formally trained in any kind of body work, I just, I had this connection with my wife. And so we would do this gentle kind of touch with each other. And it was just easy to be that, to offer that to other people in not a creepy way, Now, when you mentioned spirit helpers, I didn't tell you this when we met, but there was an old episode of Kung Fu. Do you remember that TV series with David Carradine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
One of my favorite episodes was called Spirit Helper. And it was a Native American teenager, and his parents had taken him to the wilderness to do a vision quest. And he fasted for 6 or 7 days. And he's meditating, and he's going, great spirit helper, come to me, spirit helper, come to me. And Kwai Chang King, what's up? And so
wow, I don't remember that.
So the whole series was Kwai Chang was supposed to teach him how to be a man. And he thought of him as a spirit helper. And I was so impressed by that. And I'd never heard that term till you started saying it. And it brought back this connection to something that we may see. People may come into our lives who they appear as flesh and blood, but who knows, they might be our spirit helper. So I would love for you to share from your experience what a spirit helper is to you, how people who are listening to this podcast could make contact with that force within themselves. Okay?
Okay. Well, I believe our spirit helpers are our ancestors, and our loved ones in the light. And when I get into this and I call in my spirit helpers to help me, sometimes in my mind's eye, I seriously see a huge number of guides, and they're usually like ancestors. A lot of Native Americans come through, a lot of them. And I feel like there's a circle around me when I'm working. I feel like I'm being assisted by them. I also consider my spirit helpers, as you say, they can be in the flesh and blood, people who I've run into who have been a really important part of my life. And I consider you also one of those, because when we run into other people, like-minded people, they bring something into our life that helps us kind of expand a little bit bigger and broader, just like Aaron Fowler, the psychic shaman. When he came into my life, I felt like he really took me in another place and made my mind think differently about what I can do. Other people that came into my life was people like Danielle Jewel. She is a psychic medium, and I believe you had a reading from her. She came into my life kind of accidentally as well, and she is the reason why, being here in Arizona, I started gaining clients, because she started sending people to me after she also experienced my work. She had never, ever experienced anything like that in all the years that she's been doing her work. She's had a lot of other people, she said, come to her and offer, but she just couldn't do it. And for some reason, I guess her spirit guides maybe sent her to me. She says, because I'm the only person she was open to do it with. And so many other people who were in my life. I just can't. Regina, my instructor from school, she's still a friend to me today. She impacted my life huge. If I had not listened to her, I don't know where I would have gone with this, but I really owe it to her to kind of take me through this tunnel, I would say that. And I saw the light at the end, and I continue to walk it, and I see the light getting bigger and brighter every day of my life. And that's how I like to see it. But people should really know that we all have spirit guides and spirit helpers all around us, whether they be in the flesh or whether they be in the light. They are our loved ones. They are our ancestors. And that's how I see that.
Do you have a particular way that you call them in, or any suggestions how someone can make contact with that?
I go to all four directions, and I always start with the east. I always start with the east because the sun rises, the day starts with the east. So I always point to the east. I put my hand over my heart, and I lift my left hand up and my right hand over my heart, and I call my spirit helpers to come in and assist me with whatever work I have to do. I start on the east, then I move to the south, then I move to the west, and then to the north. When I complete that whole circle, I look up to the universe. I call down the universal energy and spirit helpers, and then I go down to Mother Earth, all the spirit nature spirit and animal spirit. I call in I just make sure to surround myself completely. And when you do surround yourself, when you call in spirit, you think of that as a circle around you. You can no longer break that circle. So don't break the circle. Make sure you complete whatever you're doing. And when you're finished, whatever you're doing, then thank your spirit helpers in the same exact direction, starting at the east. Thank them and tell them they may go in power. Again, going through all directions, making sure that you thank them all and send them all away before you break the circle. It's important. not to break the circle. If the circle is broken, then you have to start all over again.
Do you feel, Dina, that technique that you're talking about could help a person if they're having conflict in their life, or nefarious energies, or malevolent, like what kind of happened to me when I was in Arizona, and I was intending to go to Sedona, and I just had to get out of there. There was some kind of dark energy. Do you feel like doing the 4 directions with that kind of intention is a good way to ask your spirit guides to come in, and the spirit helpers to shield you or protect you?
Yes, that is important. What's really important is calling in your spirit guides, your spirit helpers. You call them in to shield you and to protect you. And the other very important thing is to ground yourself mentally. And as I guided you during that short little meditation we had before we started, it's very important. And I always tell everyone, when you inhale, visualizing a beautiful light starting at your heart center. And every time you inhale, this light gets bigger. And then you send this light up and down your spine. You send this light all around your rib cage. You inhale bigger. And the more you inhale, it's a visual thing too. You have to visualize it, and you got to really, really believe seeing this light getting brighter in your body, in your heart. You send this light up and down every part of the bone of your body. As the light gets brighter and brighter in your body, it starts to amplify. Then the light reaches out. And as you're inhaling and exhaling, every time you exhale, you send this light in a different part of your body. Your whole body is lit. Then you inhale again, and you send this light out from out the bottom of your feet, deep into the earth. You're grounding yourself very, very deeply. Again, you inhale, and this light is brighter. Now you see this light completely surrounding you. You inhale deep, 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 deep. And then as you exhale, you see the light coming out of your crown chakra. So you want to see this light grounding you into the earth and up into the universe, so that you look like, visualize yourself a beautiful pillar of light from the earth all the way up into the universe. You are completely protected within your own light, so that nothing can attack you, nothing can come into you. Then you do your healing work, visual healing work, whatever it is, meditations, doing affirmations, all those things. Everyone can heal themselves if you really are mindful how you go about doing these things. It's important to protect yourself, ground yourself, surround yourself, and then start the healing work.
Do you feel that idea of visualizing it and breathing it within yourself, you could do it for another person? Like for instance, a child, a sick child, an elderly parent, or, I mean, can it be extended to someone else?
I believe so. I do distant work all the time too. I do it on Zoom, FaceTime, however it is. But what's important is that the other person know it, to make sure that they're open to it. That's really important. We can't just impose on somebody else's free will. So if somebody is open to it, or say you have a loved one and they're just really sick, you got to get the permission of somebody who's very close to that person. If it's not that person, somebody who's very close to that person. So if it's a child, if the mother tells you, please, I want you to do this, as long as you get that permission, I do believe that it can be extended that way.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that you would need their consent. But
yes.
But let me twist it around a little bit. So if you're protecting yourself from someone that you know is psychically or legally, physically attacking you, a lot of people are going into like end-time madness at this time, and they're throwing lawsuits and accusations like crazy. And I've met several people who are in that kind of situation. I was in that situation like 3 years ago. And so in those cases, you can ask the spirit helpers to help you create this protective field, like a Merkaba, but you wouldn't need to ask permission from the person you're protecting yourself from, right?
No.
Right.
No, you want to protect yourself from that person. You, if you're walking into an area, say for example, like when you went to Sedona, or somebody's going to walk into a place where they feel like, oh, I really got to protect myself. The other thing I visualize myself too is I visualize myself surrounded in a beautiful bubble, a white golden bubble, but outside this bubble is like a mirror, so that anything that comes towards me is going to be reflected back at them, so that you feel safe in your own bubble. Always feel like you are a mirror, a shining, beautiful light. You practice that a lot, and trust me, people are going to notice something, and you're going to notice it too. You're just not going to know what it is. People are not going to know why they're looking at you. But a lot of my students in the past, when I've told them to practice this light, surrounding themselves with the light, I tell them, pay attention when you're walking in a store, anywhere you go. People will turn around and look at you, and they'll be looking at you, and they don't know why they're looking at you, and you don't know why they're looking at you. But just know that they see a bright light. They just don't realize that they're seeing a very beautiful bright light. That's what it is.
Well, I bet you children pick up on that when somebody
Oh,
embodies.
yes. So do the animals, lots of pets, dogs, cats. As soon as I start doing any energy work to an animal, if he's at a distance, especially cats, their heads will turn, look right at you, and they will walk right towards you. I've seen that happen many times. I've had clients in my past too, where they've asked me to do some energy work for their animals, and they love it. And every time they see me, they just come right up, like they just love it. But they really do see that.
You know, Dina, I really feel that the work that you're doing has really inspired me to be more sensitive and cognizant to these energies. And I really, that's why I wanted you to come on and talk about this. And so we've only got about 10 minutes left. I'd like to let you have the floor and talk about what you see for the world, or what's your plans for the future with your work. And just share with us what you're seeing in the days and the years ahead.
Well, what I'd like to do is have more meditations here at my place. I'm looking to do that and hopefully grow a large following of people to teach people how to meditate, how to protect themselves, how to heal themselves if they are not able to go and see somebody for healing. And just share this with the world if I can. That's my main goal, is just trying to help as many people as I possibly can so they can do for themselves. It's really important that we take care of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Because I saw my grandparents raised me, and I saw them suffer a great deal, and I don't want to go through that. I don't want my children to go through that, and I don't want to see other people go through that. I think it's really important that we really reach down into ourselves, and people really need to start having more love for themselves first. I think what's really important with a lot of people, when there's too many people looking outward for something when it's actually deep within our hearts. You first have to look within. You have to love yourself first. You have to have faith in yourself, because I feel that if one does not have faith in themselves, how can you have faith in anything else outside of there? I think we are what's more important right now, ourselves. In order for us to be able to be successful out there, success starts from within. And I'm just hoping to really gain a larger following and somehow find a way to set up my property so that I can have a greater amount of people coming to more meditations, getting more healing work, and even have other people join in. If I can find other healers, I think it would be great to have other healers join in, other psychics, other people to help us, help one another to grow this into something greater where we all can heal in a much nurturing way. Nobody likes, well, not nobody. I do believe Western medicine is important in some cases. That all depends on someone's health, but a little combination of both, I think, is very successful.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I would agree. Western medicine's good for, an accident,
yes,
first aid, really
yes,
good first
that's what
aid.
I mean.
But for real
Yes,
healing, you have to do it with the earthly mother, and you have to do it with your spirit helpers and your own discipline, and that's a good
yes,
message.
yes,
And what would be
yes.
really cool, if I ever make it back out there, it'd be nice to do a video of your work, like working on somebody, and we could make a video like that, and kind of like what I did with my de-armoring. Just a little,
Oh, okay,
yeah. Well,
okay.
thank
That
you
sounds
so
good.
much. This was a wonderful interview, and I'm just so pleased you came on today, and thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. And it was a nice visit. And I really love your videos. They're very beautiful. And the music that you played on those CDs, thank you very much. They're very beautiful, very relaxing. And I appreciate it.
So it's okay if I put some contact information in the description box about with your
Yes,
email. Okay.
yes, yes. But use the Sierra Vista Healing email.
Okay. So
Sierra Vista
anybody,
Healing at gmail.com.
say it again.
Sierra Vista Healing at gmail.com.
Okay. So anybody who's passing
And
through the desert Southwest, if they want to come book a session with you. You also have a little Airbnb, right?
yes, I do. They can come by. They could email me again. I have an Airbnb, a private guest room. I work from that room as well, but I also use it for Airbnb. I have guests come over on the weekends. And if anybody is coming through town and needs a place to stay and some healing work, they're welcome to do that as well.
All right. Bless you and thank you again. And we'll talk to you later.
Thank you very much, Leo. Thank you.